Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to do my manga review for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 393. And boy oh boy is this a doozy of a chapter, because we are getting closer to the conclusion of the fight between Toga and Uraraka, with a massive surprise in tow with what we get in this chapter, and it is going to blow your mind. So let's dive right into the review and talk about this chapter. And a brief summary of what this chapter is for the most part a conversation between Uraraka as well as Toga. And it's not the talk no jutsu that most people are going to be saying when it comes to this fandom because of Naruto, but they're actually having an actual dialogue, an actual conversation, with both sides having very valid points, but a conclusion eventually being met at the end. Also, just as a heads up, we are actually going to be getting 17 pages in this chapter with 2 double page spreads, something that we haven't had in a while, so that is also something to get hyped about. Also, something else that I forgot to bring up is that the title of this chapter is called A Girl's Ego, and this could be referring to either Uraraka or Toga, but from my perception of reading the chapter, but it can, in theory, apply for both, because both, in a way, do have an ego, but they're able to express it most likely in different ways. And this conversation is pretty much a continuation from what we got with last chapter, where we have a flashback to Toga, where it's revealed the reasoning why she doesn't have a villain name, as well as a little bit more world building for the world of My Hero Academia. Because you have the League of Villain members looking at Toga and thinking about Shigaraki and realizing that, oh wait, y'all guys don't have hero names. As we get characters like Twice as well as Spinner trying to give Toga a hero name. One, which was a name that many people thought that she would have as a villain name, which is the Vampire Queen, Camilla. And then you have Twice, who talks about Bloody Kiss or Pikachu, which is the sound of Toga sucking blood, and how she rejects those villain names because in the end she wants to live the life that she wants to live as Himiko Toga, so she doesn't need a villain name. As well as we get a little poking fun of Dobby, who tries to criticize that the names that Spinner and Twice gave were very generic and very old-fashioned when his name is literally Dobby, aka Cremation, and how this entire flashback takes place most likely during My Villain Academia before they fought against Gigantomachia. And it's cool that we get recontextualizing that part of My Hero Academia in this most recent chapter, but we also get a little bit of world building as well coming from Shigaraki. And it's the idea that when heroes and villains existed, that the border between them was very much blurred, and that you got your name based off your enemy. And how Shigaraki was trying to play off of like, yeah, I don't really care about that. I don't really care about that, but it is mine. He's like, I actually think it's really cool. But he brings up this idea that this may be the reasoning why the real world began to imitate comic books, and how people took on these secret identities to mask themselves to help them survive. And how this entire flashback leads back to the present of Toga making her declaration about how the standards of the world don't apply to her, and that Uraraka will never understand her pain and her plight. And this is where we get a little bit more conflict between them, where Toga thinks that Uraraka is pitying her as she eventually gets touched by Uraraka and begins to float, but then realizes, oh no, I'm safe. This isn't going to do anything and really harm me in any way. Just keep that in mind for what Toga is saying in this moment, and remembering some actions that she performed. But from here, this is where you get a little bit more into their conversation about how Toga believes that Uraraka is going to kill her or imprison her or just allow her to be executed. And how when it comes to this battle, it's win or lose, and it's meant of a battle of survival. And how Uraraka chimes in about how that may be the way that most people see her, to which Toga responds with, oh, you're not pitying me, it can only be your ego, or in reference to Uraraka's self-worth or her self-confidence, the belief in herself. and how if it's with that ego, then she will die because of it, as we get a new move from Toga called Sad Man's Legion, where we get a bunch of Twices as well as other heroes coming out of this black vistage, which is actually just an accumulation of doubles that Toga has created. And that this wave is so big that it's literally covering all the heroes that we know are in the battlefield, and is so large that it's about to encompass an entire city, with one of the news people saying, oh my gosh, this is the Quirk singularity theory, doomsday theory, and how this is all being done by the feelings of one single girl, and that this day is finally happening. Also keep that idea in mind, how the world is going to change by the feelings of one girl. But as this is all happening, you just have Toga trying to go against Uraraka, but Uraraka is able to use her gunhead martial arts and make even more of these Twice clones as well as these other doubles float. To which Toga believes that this means nothing and that she cannot really harm them, but then you have Uraraka clapping back with the idea that zero gravity is not meant to hurt people, and how Toga begins to remember what Uraraka said about how she would never drop people out of the sky, which is what I was referring to earlier on in this video, which is the idea that if Toga remembered how she used Uraraka's quirk, she should have been scared by the fact that she was touched, because the moment that float is activated, Uraraka could deactivate it at any moment and cause Toga to fall and hit the ground. Also, something else that I want to bring up, why are there sparks appearing around Uraraka's finger pads? That's interesting. But yeah, this is where we get probably the best part of Uraraka in this chapter, where she pretty much confirms to Toga that, yeah, maybe I am being egotistical in this moment, but you know what? I'm not going to pretend about anything anymore. You killed a whole bunch of people. That is not cool. However, when I see your face, yeah, I'm just mesmerized by your smile. That you can look so happy and smile when you're doing all of this, and that when you smiled at me during the war, you looked sad. And this is where we once again get Toga trying to clap back, because she is saying that she was sad during the war because it was Uraraka's fault, but then Uraraka chimes in about, yeah, but there's more to it. Like, I want to know why and all of the pain and tribulations that you went through to make you into the person that you are right now. And pretty much what Uraraka is saying is that while the actions that she played a part in did affect Toga, that there's a lot of just deep-rooted pain within Toga that led her down this path that is not necessarily her fault. And how Uraraka continues this conversation by saying that she pushed away once, but that this is not going to ever be her ideal world. However, she is mesmerized by the smile that Toga is able to have, and how she's able to have her feelings be known to the world and not hide her true feelings, as we get a flashback to Deku. Which from this part, this more or less heavily implies that Uraraka is hiding some type of feelings when it comes to Deku, and this must be most likely her love, her care, her affection for Deku in a more romantic way. And how she finishes off by saying that she does have a lovely smile when you have Uraraka referring to Toga. And how the chapter ends with her saying that she won't pretend that she didn't see the smile, and she will not also pretend that Toga has not done horrible things. And as we see this, lightning is appearing from her fingers and around the Toga and other doubles. And as this is happening, Uraraka tells Toga how she still wants to talk romance to her, and that she's willing to give up some of her blood to do it, as Jiro refers to the fact that people are floating without Uraraka touching them, with the chapter ending. And going a little bit more in depth into this, yes, Uraraka did have a quirk awakening. And what we're getting with Uraraka right now is something that I've really been anticipating and what I thought would happen, but not this early in the story, but towards the end of the story. Because this is most likely going to be approaching the end of the conflict between Uraraka and Toga. And how this conflict is going to be resolved not necessarily with fisticuffs, but with words and expressing what they truly believe about one another. And to add on to all of this, if you look closely at all of these panels, you get to see that Toga is shedding tears, which shows that the words that Uraraka are saying in this moment are actually getting to her and that she's actually finally listening to her. And how this act of Uraraka offering her blood to Toga is the thing that Toga actually wanted in this world. Because Toga may say that she wants to kill people and drink their blood, but what she really wants is to have a world that is able to, in a way, accept the fact that she is fascinated and loves blood, and that is her way of showing affection. And that at the very least, if there is someone in this world that is able to provide that to her, then most likely she can live and accept and be in a world that exists, even if everyone else may see it as a taboo. Because what Toga truly wants is to be accepted. And Uraraka in this moment is accepting who Toga is. Now, accepting who she is may not mean that you necessarily agree with everything that she has done, but you accept that they do deserve the right to exist however they choose or however they are born to be, and that part of them should never be repressed, but should be expressed in a way, but just not to the extent of hurting people. And Uraraka knows that, and she is a part of a newer generation of people, which includes both Deku as well as Shoto, who is willing to bridge the gap and truly treat the villains as who they are, people. But overall, I just really enjoyed this chapter. I think that this chapter pretty much built upon what Horikoshi was having for the character development and growth between Toga and Uraraka, not just together, but also as their respective characters. And how the dialogue that we have between these characters, which may be a rough translation and may be better in the official translation, pretty much boils down to them both realizing that they are most likely in the wrong when it comes to certain areas when it comes to society as a whole, but that they are now getting to learn about each other more and are coming together and really showing why each one of them are truly people that live in this world. Where you have Uraraka, who may be developing more from this because she begins to realize that there are beautiful aspects of Toga that she may have wanted for herself, such as the ability to fully express her feelings without any type of care to what others may think. And most likely Toga may begin to realize that she doesn't necessarily have to kill or hurt people to obtain what she truly wants, to be accepted as someone who values love through blood, because Uraraka is willing to offer it to her. As we have a small few panels of them as kids of Uraraka willing to offer Toga her blood, which ties into a major theme of My Hero Academia, which is that people may be different from one another, but they are still people at their core, and that they need to find more or less the right person for them to be able to live in the world, even if they are significantly different from the norm. And that everyone should be accepting of everyone. That is a theme of My Hero Academia. And I love how Toga and Uraraka are one of the aspects of the story that exemplify it to the best of its ability as seen in this chapter. Once again, really enjoyed the chapter, really enjoyed the symbolism, the development, the growth when it comes to Toga and Uraraka as characters, and once again, the art in this chapter is beautiful, and that awakening of Uraraka's abilities is great. Her ability is so great that it pretty much was able to make what people assume is a mountain load of people literally weightless, which is an amazing feat on its own. But yeah, really enjoyed this chapter, really enjoyed what we got in this chapter with these female characters. And let me ask you this, what did you think of the chapter? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And do you think that we are finally going to get the end of the confrontation between Uraraka and Toga in the next chapter? And what do you think of her quirk awakening as well? That's something cool, that both of these characters fighting against one another both had quirk awakenings. Leave your thoughts down in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!